watching Glitter Gel Pen.
A lifelong, one-sided conversation of us consuming every pop culture podcast ever. Glitter Gel Pen has joined the chat.
Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Glitter Gel Pen.
Episode 33. I'm Jill.
And I'm Melissa.
I don't know why I was on one for that
We're
intro.
cheerful today.
Yeah. And before we get started, if you dislike men as much as Sabrina Carpenter, then click the subscribe button.
Ding. Okay, so this week, Miley Cyrus premiered her film for her Something Beautiful album at the Tribeca Film Festival. Mm-hmm. And apparently some of the fans bought tickets thinking it was a concert. They were $800.
Oh, and they made it known that they thought it was a concert.
Yeah. Well, they went to the Tribeca Film Festival thinking it was going to be a Miley Cyrus concert, so I'm not sure what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I also feel like seeing the film festival, the premiere, Miley Cyrus is watching it with you. She does a Q&A after. I feel like that's a good price. Because it's expensive.
Yeah, so that was like not just to view the Miley Cyrus thing. That was like for the whole Tribeca
Film
Festival, and Miley just was also there.
There was a Q&A with Miley about the film. And it's obviously there's not a lot of people that can be in that theater.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life where I had unexplainable panic attacks. My anxiety had reached a level so high that I'd never seen before, and I had no idea what was going on. The only thing that gave me any relief was therapy. Therapy taught me coping mechanisms to handle these intense feelings of panic and anxiety. I now know how to handle it without becoming completely debilitated, and it really saved me. It allowed me a safe space to work through my thoughts and feelings that I had not yet come to terms with. That's why I'm so excited that this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is on a mission to making starting therapy easier. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as 48 hours. And if you decide you don't feel comfortable with the therapist you were matched with, you can easily switch until you find someone that makes you comfortable. BetterHelp finds greatly qualified therapists, and their customer support team is always there if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a service you can trust. If you're looking to try therapy, we've got a chance for you to save some money. You can go to betterhelp.com/glittergelpen or click the link in our description to get 10% off your first month. Now back to the show.
That wasn't a bad price, actually.
Yeah, so...
we paid $600 to talk to Trisha Paytas, and she didn't give two shits.
No, she didn't. But this video that we're about to play is fans berating Miley during the Q&A because they thought it was a concert.
This is the Tribeca Film Festival. How does it feel to have a fan?
Are you actually gonna sing? Sing the time! Yeah! Sing the time!
You have to start it.
Yeah, I have seen that, and I saw that people were saying she was actually like too nice by doing that.
She was the people were being so rude during her interview. Like they kept yelling stuff out. You can even see it on her face that she was amazed. Like, I think concert culture has gotten so bad, and she doesn't do a lot of like big live, like public ticketed events anymore. I honestly think she was like shocked by like how rude they were.
And kind of didn't know what to make of it, and so she just sang something to like shut everybody up, essentially.
Yeah. And she like interrupted the interviewer to start singing so that they would leave them alone.
And I saw someone was like, they better be glad they didn't do this during the Bangers era, because she would have.
What? What would she have done? You said she would have. You stopped talking so fast.
Because I didn't know how to eloquently describe what I was thinking. But there's a video on TikTok somewhere that I've seen, like where somebody said that. Somebody was like, they better be glad she didn't do that during the Bangers era. And so somebody posted a video from the Bangers era, and she was like telling someone off who was saying something like heckling her like on stage, and she was, I don't know what she was saying. I couldn't find the TikTok, but
She was just being rude right back to him. or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah. Okay.
she was giving it back. So that's what I didn't know how to word that, so that's why I stopped.
Or she would have said some rude things back, like she did during the Baker story. That was just really funny. But yeah, especially because like it was a Zane Lowe interview that Miley Cyrus did recently where she was like talking about why she doesn't tour anymore. Like she's got, is it nodes?
Yeah, nodes or polyps or something.
Yeah, and if she could have surgery to have them removed so that she could perform and have like more like longevity, but it may change the sound of her voice. Like she doesn't know how much of her voice is that illness. So like I get why she doesn't do it. And it seems kind of insensitive to do that whenever someone is like giving you what they can of like them performing, which is like her film, which was the whole point of it. If you hear the thunder, it's storming here.
Yeah,
in more
it's
ways
like,
than one.
we have turned into that channel that's like scary stories to listen to when it's thundering outside. Go to sleep too.
Yeah. But so she was just really nice, but she always like greets fans and she's like walking out of places and stuff. And I'm really glad. Have you seen her boyfriend?
No.
He's like younger and he's like a drummer in this like, they're like a successful band, but definitely like underground. And she's been taking him to a lot of events lately and they've just been super public, but they've been together for a long time. And he has like a permed mullet and just, they're so cute together. Like they're just, I don't know, but they were at that festival together and there were videos. I saw this person made an edit and it was like Miley Cyrus walking through the festival before fans bullied her into singing or something like that. But he was like escorting her like through the crowd and they just look like a rock star like couple.
Yeah, I can imagine a permed mullet.
Yeah. It looks good. Like his permed mullet goes so good with her fur coat off her shoulders. I don't even know how to explain it other than that, but it looks
honestly,
so good.
Her face looks like a rock band.
Yes.
If that makes sense. I feel like that made sense. I'm not the biggest fan of Miley's new style of music, but to me, she can also do no wrong. Like anything that she puts out, like I will give it a spin and be like, I could try it out. But I just respect her. And looking at it now that she's like grown and changed, like the fact that we ever thought she was crazy is so stupid because like she was just obscure and doing weird stuff. Yeah. There has been news that came out, though, that she would tell her accountant that her $15,000 like drug buy was actually just like vintage clothing and vintage like band tees and stuff, though. Like she's admitted that recently.
Wow.
So during Bangers, she was doing lots of drugs.
Yeah, I'm sure. But she's still, I feel like most people in Hollywood do. But because she was like on Disney at one point, people like had an opinion on it.
Yeah. The salvia. That is
that
ingrained
video?
into my memory.
Or she's talking about her ex-boyfriend or something.
No, she was like, yeah, Liam was there, I think, or something. And she was like, is that Liam?
Oh my god, is that a fucking Liam lookalike or what the hell is that? Is that my boyfriend? Is that my boyfriend? Oh my god. Hey. He looks so much like. Oh my god. Stop talking about that. That's a buzzkill. Oh my god, he looks so much like Liam. Oh my god. Is that me tripping? Is that me tripping? He doesn't look like Liam at all. Okay, well he looks just like Liam.
And it was iconic and it got so much backlash and it was salvia. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, salvia is like a scary thing. Anybody I've ever heard do that is like, don't do it, you know? But it was legal.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we so upset? I don't know.
Disney brainwashed us. And Taylor Swift was the poster child for how you should be behaving.
I will never forget, though, that video came out where I was when I saw it. It was like actually on the news.
Yeah.
They covered it on like ET or something. And my grandma had a little TV in her kitchen. She had a little TV that we would watch while we were eating. And it was on. And I saw that and I was like, oh, and my grandma was like, oh.
Yeah.
And yeah, the pearls were clutched.
I remember I lived with my mom and I had moved in with my grandparents like my junior, senior year of high school. And we would watch like all the award shows together because like my parents never had cable. We always had like, other stuff to watch. And my grandparents had cable, so I was so excited to be able to watch the VMAs. And it was like the 2015 VMAs or something. No, maybe 2013. It was whenever Miley did the crazy performance.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there with my grandparents watching Miley Cyrus like dance in this teddy bear outfit. And they were just like, what is wrong with her?
Yeah.
But yeah, Miley going crazy was an important part of us growing up. But recently she's also mentioned that I feel like she's like really happy and like content in life because she came back around and said that the last year she's spent like fixing all of her relationships with her family. Like no one in the family has bad blood or anything like that. And like she's back like talking to her dad again and like just seems really like at peace with all that. And he is dating Elizabeth Hurley. Do you know who she is?
No.
She was like the lead woman in the early Austin Powers movies, and she's
Okay.
like his age, and she's so hot.
Okay, so he's on somebody that's his own age.
Yeah, and I haven't
Good to
seen any
know.
updates around him, so hopefully he's like getting better.
Maybe the Trace Cyrus posts really humbled him, brought him back down.
Yeah,
Who
hopefully.
knows? Hopefully.
I don't think Trace was his son by birth. I think Trace was from Tish's first marriage, maybe. If they don't resolve it, I don't think it's that. Not that it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I'm sure he's like a dad to him, but it's like, I don't know. It's not his children.
Yeah, but
technically.
I'm saying maybe Trace's post is
Yeah.
what snapped him out of it.
Oh, yeah,
And got
maybe.
him to like come back, how he's able to be good with Miley and everybody.
Yeah.
Again, Miley was good.
Much. And now, back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?
Hey, we're all in this industry. We all do interviews, and we all know how they manipulate. Nikki, congratulations. Doesn't mean that the voting is done.
Yeah. Okay, that whole thing with Nicki Minaj, I've heard people talk about it where they're like saying that Nicki like scared Miley and Miley started acting away like she was frightened. And I'm just like, do y'all really think that was real? Because I do not. I've never thought that scenario was not planned. Wasn't it the VMAs?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't tell because they were beefing.
Yeah, but do I think Nicki Minaj would hold a microphone and during her acceptance speech say, back to this bitch who had a lot to say about me in the press, Molly, what's good? I just don't. There's no way. There's no way that's real. And then it cuts to Miley with a head full of dreadlocks.
And she's like, we're all fam here, Nikki.
Yeah.
Or whatever she says, something like that. Yeah, the world may never know.
Yeah.
But,
We have a transition story,
well, yeah, to do with Miley Cyrus still.
but Jojo Siwa at the same time.
Yeah. So, Miley was doing, I don't know what it was. I've seen the clip. I don't know
it
what
was
it was
a trailer for something to do with the Tribeca Film Festival that they were playing.
for. Okay. So, she was doing a trailer, and she mentioned that she was going to go back into the closet. Maybe she'd find Jojo Siwa.
Well, let's play the clip. Because
Okay.
I don't think you're remembering it correctly.
Okay.
That's so wrong. That was not at all what happened. Ladies, maybe get your facts straight.
Oh.
Let's watch that.
A year. It should be infinite. All right, I'm going back to get some more pretzels. You'll find Jojo Siwa and bring him back out.
Yeah, she went back to the closet to find Jojo Siwa.
I think she meant she was going to bring her back to the queer side.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's what you said, but you
Yeah.
said that she was going to go find her in the closet.
Oh. But people have been saying mixed opinions on this, and they think that it is really invalidating to bisexuals, you know, because if that is what like JoJo is now that
Yeah.
she's dating a man, that it's like invalidating to that as like part of the queer community.
It makes sense to me to say that, but it's shocking to me how polarizing it is that Jojo Siwa is dating a man. Like, why is Miley Cyrus the star? Like, making a comment about this weird piece of like internet lore.
Yeah.
It just, if I was JoJo though, I would be living.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved that.
It is crazy. Like, it's just something, it just is something that was on nobody's bingo card, you know?
No.
Nobody's 2025 bingo card had Jojo Siwa is going to date a man.
No. And definitely not a man who's much older and just maybe uninterested based on the next story.
Yeah. I did get it put into perspective for me like a couple days ago that, you know, JoJo being 20 and Chris being 32 is not far off from Taylor Swift and John Mayer when they dated.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think maybe because Taylor at 19 was a fairy tale princess.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird to think about them canoodling.
Yeah. Whereas like JoJo had, it wasn't a good one, like Karma, you know? But like we've seen her like be bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Take a sip of alcohol.
Yeah. We've seen her do that instead of like being a fairy tale princess. So I think that's why it's easier for me to comprehend that a 20-year-old and a 32-year-old can be together versus John Mayer and Taylor Swift when she was 19 and he was 32.
It's also like JoJo's so young because, you know, she went into this house a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And like she left in a relationship
with a man,
with a 32-year-old man. I can't imagine being 32 and looking at a 20-year-old who's confused about their sexuality at all and being like, that's attractive. Because that's not that there's anything wrong with even questioning your sexuality, especially when you're that age, like you really are figuring yourself out then. But I just can't imagine being attracted to such like a different mentality, a different maturity level.
Yeah. Because like I just couldn't even imagine, I'm not 32 and I can't imagine being attracted to a 19-year-old. That is baffling.
Yeah. If you like think a guy's cute and you hear that he's 2 years younger than you, you're like, ugh.
I'm like, oh, he's a baby.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just not it.
Yeah.
Well, these paparazzi photos have surfaced of Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes. It kind of looked like they were just going for a walk or hiking or something. And basically she is holding his hand and reaching for him while he's like scrolling on his phone. And people are like putting it back together that in that one moment, in that one interview, he like friend zoned her and he's not actually interested in her. It's all about clout. And like that photo is supposed to be like portraying that he's uninterested in her and JoJo's like chasing him and whatever. So it's just a photograph at the end of the day.
I mean, okay, I don't really love any time for a man to just be on their phone kind of like not in the moment with me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you laughing?
Because my phone won't load and it's just sweet potatoes. I was cooking a sweet potato earlier and when I took the peeling off, it was white on the inside. And I was afraid that it went bad, so I was Googling if it's okay if my sweet potato is white. And apparently they just come out different sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, like I don't always love for a man, you know, I want them to be engaged when we're like doing something and not be on their phone.
But they're just walking.
Yeah, but they're just walking. They could be like talking or something. But I think I was getting somewhere else. I'm not disagreeing.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm saying, but although in a perfect world, I would like for a man to not be on their phone, like walking around or doing anything with me. Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah.
Like, they just are.
Photo, I don't know if you pulled this one up. This one actually cracks me up because she's so like in the moment and present. He's on his phone. He could be sending a serious email for all we know. But her long hair like running down his chest while he is just like looking at the last Spill Sesh video.
He said, hold up, babe. I got calls for once and I got to ride this train before it dies. You know?
For real.
This clout train before it dies. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really like, unfortunately, normal. I mean, there's been lots of times where someone has been on their phone and I'll talk and they don't even respond because they're on their phone, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that just is kind of unfortunately part of it. And so I don't think that this necessarily means anything.
No.
I think it's pretty normal, even though it shouldn't be. You get what I'm saying?
And they probably took photos for 15 seconds of their walk. And he could have been responding to a text from his mom in those 15 seconds.
And that picture that you're laughing at.
It is funny.
It is funny to look at it out of context. But I could see where they were like stopped for a second for him to read something like, picture this. You're like, stop, babe. Let me read this text really quick.
Does he talk like that?
I don't know. That's my British accent, I guess. He's like, stop, babe. Let me check this really quick. And then he's checking it and she's stretching. So she's arching her back.
Yeah.
And then it looks like she's trying to have a romantic moment when really she was just stretching on their little pause for the walk while he was responding. You know what I mean? I just made up a whole scenario for this. I'm good at people watching, if you couldn't tell.
we're going to get into it later in this episode, but I was just sitting here thinking, this is our first episode since staying at the Viking Motel. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. I feel like we're going to tell y'all about the Viking Motel, but we'll tell you at the end. But just know that Glitter Gel Pen is forever changed. And there was before the Viking Motel, and there is after the Viking Motel.
Like, it's so special. We will put the Viking Motel as a timestamp so that if you weren't planning on sticking around, please just go to the Viking Motel experience. But speaking of the Viking Motel, when we were on the way there from Atlanta, Addison's new album dropped, and we bopped it for like the whole way.
It's so good.
It is. I really, really enjoy it. And I like this direction that she's going in. You can tell that she's inspired by artists like Charlie and artists like Britney and like pop girlies, but she's not trying to copy any like one person. It's like still her own sound to me.
And I also feel like she's taken a lot of time to figure out what she wanted it to be. And like she really executed like an idea that she had. And I've listened to 3 interviews now of her like talking with people about it, and she talks about her art in a way that like other artists are just not talking about their art. Like,
you mean like Lord?
Yeah. Oh my God.
If you guys saw Lord on Jake Shane, we couldn't even finish it. He'd ask her something and he'd be like, so what made you think of this like song? And she'd be like, it was really like,
I think it can be so.
And she would just not answer the question for a minute and a half, and then she still wouldn't say anything whenever she spoke.
She'd say, you know what I mean? It was just like,
we were trying to find, we were on our long drive, and we were trying to find something to pass the time, and like, I was getting like anxiety, like waiting for her to answer the question, and we just couldn't stop laughing every time she was like, you know.
We're like, no, we don't, because you didn't say anything.
It was so bad. But no, Addison is like full of like words, ideas, concepts. Like she talked about how she made like a scrapbook before they made the album that she could take to someone to tell them like what she wanted the vision to be, which I thought was so cool. And in the Jake Shane episode, I felt very seen by her because, you know, we have joked on this podcast specifically how on Rolling Stone, she got the cover of Rolling Stone and was claimed to be this pop phenomenon before her album even came out.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we treat this podcast. Like, we're already a big podcast.
Yeah.
We might not be, but like we're there.
Yeah, we have hundreds of thousands of people listening to this every week, and that's how we're going to speak.
Yeah, and we edit like we do. We post like we do. Like, we just live as if we are already podcasters. We are 33 weeks in. We have not missed a single week, even though we have full-time jobs, not perfect lives, and like everything in between. So we're very serious. And I feel like Addison is on the same level with her music. She's like a lot further along in her career. But she said that she wanted the visuals for the album to be an R-rated Libby Lou.
I love that. I love it.
Oh my God.
Did you ever have your birthday at Libby Lou?
I never did a birthday there, but I have pictures of me with my Libby Lou like banner on, and on the Jake Shane episode, she had an updo with a tiara.
Yeah.
Now, this is eating.
I love it.
I was obsessed whenever she said that. And like the way that she has like such a specific thing that doesn't even exist anymore, that only like Southern girls know about. Like the way that she can pick that one little feeling out that she had as a child and like want to create something with it. I swear, I feel like we do the same thing with like whenever we make stupid videos or whenever we have like an idea for something. Like, we have the most specific idea of what we want something to be, and then we just curate it into that thing.
Yeah.
So I just relate to her.
I really think that she's like, a lot of people are like sleeping on her artistry.
Yeah.
Because I think people think of pop girls and stuff and think that you're not a real artist. Like, have you ever heard of Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
You know, I hate it.
Yeah.
Not Led Zeppelin, but I hate when people do that. But yeah, so because she's a pop girl and she's going to go into this really feminine Y2K, Libby Lou, ditzy, like woo kind of a vibe, people are going to sleep on the artistry and like her visions for things. But I think she's showing for me that she's really thought this through and done a lot.
I feel like in the South specifically, like people have that mentality of, it's almost like they think because we have phones in our hands that artists can't be developed out of this like era of time, and that just isn't true. And like someone like Charlie or Addison, Taylor Swift is like a such a specific thing that like I get her visuals, but like sometimes I feel like her album concepts since 1989 there just hasn't been that like super cohesive thing. But like even Lorde, like I don't love that Man of the Year song, but I get what she's doing. It's just so specific, and I don't like the narrative that like because we're in 2025 and we have TikTok now that like artists can't exist and like nothing can be new or refreshed anymore, because everything is kind of based around nostalgia because that's all, everything's kind of been done before. But I don't know, I just think that she's like the first person in a long time that's new and has like an idea of what she wants to be.
And you can take, like how I think she's kind of doing, you can take inspiration from other places, like from different artists, and make a big mishmash, and it becomes your own thing because you're not copying one other person or one other thing. You're like taking multiple and making it your own. And again, I just see, I sound delusional. Okay. I just see a lot of us in Addison.
No, I was thinking that when you were saying it. Because we've taken bits and pieces from other podcasts that we like, but we've taken our concept and put that through it, so it's completely new. But like you can see the inspiration even from Just Trish, from Canceled, from the Swiftologist,
from Do We Know Them,
even Spill Sesh.
Yeah.
At least as far as like topics go, because that's just like the content we consume. But I feel like we take the kind of topics they do because we like what they're talking about, but we also like the way that like the Swiftologist critiques things and has a discussion. But I like how even just like Brianna LaPaglia, Brianna Chicken Fry, I like how she's always talked about pop culture stuff, but she's never cared if her take is like the popular one or the controversial one. If that's how she feels, that's how she feels. And I've always liked that about her. So it's like we are like the combination of all those things.
Yeah. We're taking everything that we like about our favorite things and we are becoming what we like about our favorite things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Addison is doing with music.
Yeah, because it's if something that you love, like I've always thought this is, if something that you are looking for isn't there, you could make it. It's like everything you're interested in mixed into one thing. So it's like we are the Addison Rae of the podcast space.
Yeah.
And we will be on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah, really. They'll say they're destined to be Billboard Top 100 in the podcast, and it's we're number 3 in what?
We're number 3 in entertainment news in Malaysia, and we're proud.
Yeah.
But to me, like our Rolling Stone would be like getting on Pop Base and like having a news flash or a tweet from like Pop Base about us. That would be my Rolling Stone cover to me, like what it would. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna eat. Another pop girly who has talked about their new album is Sabrina Carpenter.
Yep, she released Manchild. Manchild.
She released Manchild and then also announced her newest album that'll be coming out.
I'm really surprised that she's doing a whole album already.
Me too. I was not expecting that.
No.
That's some Taylor Swift stuff, like Folklore and Evermore year.
And when she released Manchild, the thing that she wrote about it, I was like fully expecting it to be a one-off song and thank you for the summer bop.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next fall or something.
No, I was too. Yeah, but before we get into all the stuff about the album art and the controversy that's around that, what do you think about Manchild?
I love that song.
Okay.
You don't like it?
Yeah.
Okay. We had a really special experience this past weekend where we got to hear it
we listened to it with Zach Horyhane himself.
Yep. We got to hear Manchild for the first time in the presence of the Swiftologist and react all together.
Yes.
So it's like that much more special. And it's just Sabrina Carpenter has a way with her words. And it's kind of like how Taylor Swift does in other ways. You felt things in the past, but like you would have never even articulated the idea of how you felt until you hear her put it into words. And you're like, I have felt that before.
Yes. Yeah, no, I love the bop, one of the songs that have been on replay recently. It's also gotten some controversy.
Yeah, the statement about being slow.
Mm-hmm. And Taylor Swift's good friend, Presley Cash. Just kidding. She's not a good friend at all, but Presley likes to be a clout goblin.
Let's tell them who Presley Cash is, because most of y'all don't know.
Okay. Presley Cash is the girl from the I Can See You music video, not to be mistaken for Joey King. Mm-hmm. It's the one driving the getaway car.
Yeah.
Is who Presley Cash is. And I know her from Twitter, Chronically Online Me back in the day. She was in the Mean music video. And so I was like looking up everybody who was in the Mean music video.
You're saying Mean, right? Speak Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I found her on Twitter and like we followed each other, we would tweet sometimes, like whatever. And she lived in LA. So then I also went somewhere when I was in LA back in 2012 to a 4th of July party, and she was there as well. And
would you call her your friend?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. But she's always been like chasing fame, essentially. And she's always been, Mean came out how many years ago?
15.
Okay. And up until the I Can See You music video, she would still reference that as like
her claim to fame.
Yeah. And it's, girl, can you get some other work?
Yeah.
But I digress. And she made 2 different TikToks this week talking about Sabrina Carpenter's lyrics, about her being slow in the lyrics, and it caused a big controversy. I'm going to read what the captions say.
Okay.
So she posted a TikTok that says, imagine a man singing a song about a woman, calling her stupid, slow, and useless, and it going #1. It's giving ableist, not feminist. And it seems like when this one didn't get enough attention, she was going to make another TikTok. Again, she was pouring coffee or something. And it says, imagine a young male pop artist in the mainstream like Ed Sheeran, Harry Styles, or Benson Boone singing about a woman being stupid, slow, and useless, and it going to #1 while people lip sync to it on TikTok in a celebratory way. Would never happen. Those men would be canceled in 2 seconds. And when she posted that one, it got traction, and she was getting a lot of hate for it. But it was also opening a conversation where people were saying that Sabrina was being ableist with that lyric. Mm-hmm. So what do we think about that?
I feel like if you listen to all the lyrics of the song, like, I understand slow, I guess, could be perceived as a slur. But as someone who has been called stupid and useless by a man, it's like the whole premise of the song is he's not doing anything for her. But it's like the relationship is like useless, because it's like she says in the song, like, if I don't do it, it won't get done. I choose to blame your mom. It's like expecting a woman to do like household chores and things like that. To me, it's her commenting on that and saying how those relationships have made her feel, and not calling men stupid, slow, or useless, because they're not all like that.
No,
but they can be.
Yeah. And I also think too that it could be, referencing if a man called her those things, and it's like her, when you're in an argument and you start calling them what they called you, because then they'll be like, listen to you calling me that, and you're like, literally, you did that to me. I think that kind of is like what the lyric is as well. So like, I don't have a problem with it, but that might be like controversial, because some people were kind of like split in the comments on this. So yeah, I just thought it was like a interesting topic of discussion to have.
Yeah, I think if a man came out with a song and said something so direct about a woman, it would be a problem. But
I think that's because maybe this is just my level 1,000 feminism coming out, but I think that it works for Sabrina because what she's saying happens most of the time and is very true.
Yeah.
Versus if they said it about a woman, it's like most women are very intelligent, smart, not useless, do everything, and, you know, are like super women.
Yeah.
So
it's also like, but men have been saying horrible things about women in music for so long that I think they have lost the right to speak about someone. Like, men are more delusional than women are, if we're being real. If this is like girls and the gays here, let's be honest. It's like they can't even comprehend what. So like, I just don't agree. I don't disagree with anything that Sabrina Carpenter is saying. And I just feel like, yeah, a man would get torn down for making this. So maybe there's something to that. But it's also like, how long have women been objectifying men in music and like calling them bitches and cheating on them in music, and it's okay? But if a woman calls a man stupid, let's talk about it.
yeah.
Come on. That's why I love like Megan Thee Stallion and like Glorilla and like these women that have blown up for. It's like they've taken back like a narrative, like specifically like in hip hop music, that has just been so like derogatory towards women, and they have empowered it like in so many ways. So God forbid a woman calls a man stupid once whenever he's not doing anything around the house to help her.
Yeah.
Because did Presley Cash make a video whenever Justin Timberlake said Britney Spears cry me a river, even though I treated you like absolute shit and dragged her on national television? Let's talk about Justin Timberlake. You know, like it's just
no,
it burns me up, honestly.
honestly. And then people were taking this and running with it. I think it actually did get some decent traction, because even Ellie Goulding was in on it, like on Twitter. She retweeted it and said, I have thoughts that I'll share later on this, or whatever. People were also talking about the lyric in there where she's like, if I'm not there, it won't get done. I choose to blame your mom. Being like, why wouldn't you blame both the parents? You know? And it's like, for the simple fact that, again, the woman does everything. So if he's brought up in a house and he's raised to not have to do anything, it's because the mom did everything. And so Sabrina's saying, I blame your mom for doing everything for you and not teaching you how to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she was always doing everything.
And yeah, you could say she chose to blame the mom and not the dad. The dad also would have failed in that scenario for not like teaching their son how to like treat a woman and give to her. But the thing is, if it's on the mom for the boy child not knowing like how to do things to take care of himself, it's on the dad for not making the child realize that it's not all on your mom. So it's like, but the reality is like, if the guy thinks that's okay, it's because he watched his dad do it to his mom. Most likely.
And I mean, come on, she's using terms that we've all said before.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me, if you're listening to this and you've had a relationship where you felt like you did everything and they didn't contribute or do anything, that you didn't think, like, why wouldn't your mom have made you do this? You know? Like, it's like she's just using things like popular thoughts, because that's like what's going to relate to the majority of the masses.
And it's like pop music, so it's these complicated conversations simplified into stupid.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's be a little bit more like, let's see the whole body of work and then judge if she's sexist or not. You know, like whatever, ableist, like anything you would call it. But I think Presley Cash needs to get a job.
Yeah. She had to make a 15-minute long video crying over the hate that she was getting and stuff. She's just a little delusional. And that's a lot coming from us. Yeah. When we call you delusional, you know that you are. Yeah. But on the same topic of Sabrina, we mentioned she did announce her new album, Man's Best Friend. And people had issue with this too.
I like it. I like the concept because I think it almost is grabbing a hold of the, like, women being called bitches by men. I think it's like, okay, you want to call us bitches? Well, Sabrina Carpenter is going to make a whole album, like, showing you guys, like, I don't know. I just feel like she's, like, slapping men in the face with it, but in the most, like, cunty way.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. When I first saw the artwork for the album, it was a little jarring to me because I was kind of, because it feels a little degrading.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw the concept, man's best friend. I'm like, oh, okay, being treated like a dog, you know, because that was kind of like where my mind was at when I first saw it. So that's good that they did the concept right, you know. I was like, I don't like this picture because it looks like she's being treated like a dog, you know. But then I saw that was intentional, and the concept is man's best friend. And I was like, oh, okay, like I understand more now. And I also, too, like people are saying, you know, it's satire and it's her being treated like a dog, and it's like depicting the way that men treat women and whatever. And people's rebuttal to that was that, you know, but a man who treats a woman like that isn't going to see this and think about that. They're going to see it for what it looks like and what it is. And I was like, I mean, I get that. But again, her music's for the girlies.
Yeah.
So it's
like related.
If we see it and can notice the commentary on what she's saying, it's for us.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like relatable in a way, like every woman at some point has felt belittled by a man, like for just being a woman and existing. So I feel like it could be her claiming that and profiting off of like the negative feelings that all women have felt at some point. So like I get both sides of it, but at the end of the day, like her stuff's always been like satire and like meant to be like comical in a way, and like it's like an over dramatized version of what you feel like.
Yeah. And I also think that we're all critiquing this a little too much for it to have just been the album artwork and name released. Like, I feel like we need to see the body of work to be able to be like, oh, her songs can probably change how we would feel about this artwork.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's
depending on what they say.
Knowing Sabrina Carpenter and how like specific her lyricism is to like situations too, I could see her having a lyric that completely explains that image.
Yeah. Or like there might be a song called Man's Best Friend, you know, and then it makes it click for us and we get it, you know? So I think that like whatever side you're on of feeling about this like image artwork for the album and the name and the concept and everything, I think we just need to wait till it comes out and then we can judge it as the whole body of work that it is. Because right now I think it's just a puzzle piece and it's missing the rest.
Yeah. I also feel like women jumping on a bandwagon whenever a bunch of people are like picking apart Sabrina Carpenter for something we don't know anything about yet. It's just a photograph. And yeah, she could be being perceived like a dog, or even it could be perceived sexually or whatever. Because I thought it more sexual than like animal, I guess. And it's, I get all of the arguments, but it's also like whenever a bunch of celebrity women start like this like Twitter train of just like making and commenting on something that they also don't know anything about before they've seen it, it's just as bad whenever the women start doing that and saying that we're digressing as women by putting things out like this or giving the men power by doing stuff like this. I feel like it's the opposite, and the women speaking out against her are like making it worse, because it's like y'all should be like letting her embody like what she's feeling and how a man has made her feel and putting it into her artwork and building her up rather than I'll commentate on this later.
Yeah. It's like,
it reminds me of when Lorde tried to drag Lana for when she put out Ultraviolence. And the way that she like didn't get Lana's imagery. And yeah, Lana has glamorized some DV in the past, but Lana also made art from her. I don't know if it was really her experience, but she made art out of it and made people feel something. So who cares how she did it?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when people get on the bandwagon and say, oh, this is setting us back and all this, it's actually what you're doing is setting us back. I feel.
That's what I think, because it's like y'all are actually just critiquing everything that she puts out because she's like sexual and like forward or whatever. Whereas if a man were to put something out that was degrading himself, you would be like, go off, queen.
Yeah.
It also made me think of people dragging, I don't think we talked about it because we didn't do Hot Topics, but Sydney Sweeney and her freaking bathwater.
Yeah.
Like, the girl is hot. If she can make so much money from selling soap with her bathwater in it, who cares? Let her do it.
I was always like, with the Sydney Sweeney bathwater stuff and people saying that it was setting us back, I was like, if it was a girl on OnlyFans doing that, y'all would be like, yes, sex work is real work. Go off, queen.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that.
I'm pretty sure Sydney Sweeney used to be on OnlyFans.
Did she?
I think it was before she was on Euphoria.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But I feel like I remember that being like a part of her story. So it's, if these men are going to be gross and want to buy her bathwater, let her sell it.
Yeah.
I would sell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bathwater link in bio. Oh, one other thing about Jojo Siwa, like kind of backtracking a little bit. She revealed in an interview that her mom has been bleaching her hair blonde since she was 2.
Yeah. No, I knew that.
Can you imagine bleaching Sloane's hair?
No.
It would fall out, I feel.
Like, that would hurt.
Yeah.
You know, bleach on the scalp kind of, it burns, it stings.
And it damages it, and that is just crazy.
Yeah, her mom was definitely like stage mom, had a mission. She succeeded at the mission, but her mission was to make her daughter famous.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Speaking of setting women back, I'm just kidding. I just don't know how to lead into it from that, but the canceled podcast may be coming to an end.
I saw that this week on Canceled. They talked about it. So, first off, they were talking about at the end of their contract, who are they in a contract with?
I imagine it's just like whatever production company is producing their show.
I just don't understand why Tana Mojo needs a production company to produce the Canceled podcast.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're like the people that get their sponsors and edit their show and something. There's something to it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like, I'm sure there's a company that like puts their merch lines together. Like, I'm sure it is like a whole package of things that they do for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably just contracted to do it for a certain amount of years or whatever. Or they're like contracted to complete so many episodes because maybe that production company put money into their studio or whatever. But yeah, they kind of basically complained about doing the podcast like their whole last episode and was like, as soon as it's, you know, this contract's over, like they were so excited to be done with it.
I know. It's like, it sucks so much because I love you so much. But like, I am getting in this place where I am like really awaiting the ending of this contract for my peace. Like realizing that this is the final outlier in my peace era, which is so unfortunate because when we started it, well, we weren't peaceful when we started it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, just, that's what it is. It's like starting this thing as chaotic ass individuals down for the smoke, fucking up our own life. Barney's beanerying it up, fucking pool boy the house down.
Yeah.
And now we're in this era where like both of us are so fucking peaceful. And then like,
yeah, I feel like I don't have enough time to stand up before like something else happens every single time. It's just like,
and even this episode is no different.
And it's like, can't wait to listen next week.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, why would you be saying that now when they still have, from what I was gathering, I think they have till October or November.
Yeah, it's
something.
like towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so it's not even like close to being fully done.
Yeah.
It's got multiple episodes to go. I'm like, why would you say all that right now? Like, why wouldn't you say that in the last episode or the episode before the last or something?
Yeah. They'd have gotten to the Catherine and Austin McBroom stuff, which I put some notes on. But the whole episode, like Brooke and Tana were just talking about how it's not even about them. It's about sitting down to discuss the hot topics. And the internet comes with like whiplash of who they're, you know, fans of that week or who they hate that week based off of what they said. And I would understand if that would get old. But that's been Tana's brand since the beginning. Is like people love to hate you or hate to love you. Like it's both things. And I feel like that's just always been what she's done. So I'm like, okay, so you don't do Canceled and you don't discuss hot topics anymore, which like we've been doing it for 33 weeks now. I could understand how it would get old. Do you think I really care to talk about Jojo Siwa?
Yeah.
I don't. But like I understand like it's just like a current conversation that's happening and then they get picked apart for their like comments. But the whole episode, Brooke and Tana were like, I just love you so much. And like, I just don't want anybody to think it's about us and blah, blah, blah. But they wouldn't shut up about that.
Yeah.
And it kept making me think like maybe the issues that were coming out after the tour and everything, it is that. I think they might not work well together. Not that they're not friends.
Yeah, especially with them being like talking about they contemplated doing a last U.S. leg of the tour, but they're like, at what cost though? And it's like, if you say it's not about doing the shows or meeting the fans,
it's each other.
Then being on tour, it's like, what else is it? It's each other on tour. So that tells me too that if they do this last U.S. leg of a tour, that it's 100% a cash grab. 100%.
Yeah.
Which I think that, you know, they're not transparent about, but that the whole tour is a cash grab for them.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I think they just do it because it's like you can make a lot of money. So, yeah. But I think that it like does need to end. I think that you can tell we've been speculating for months at this point that the girls are fighting, you know?
Yeah.
And so obviously they're both not in it anymore. They're both like, you know, we don't have anything to talk about ourselves anymore. We're not doing crazy shit at parties. We're not whatever. So I understand that. I just think it is time. It's run its course and it's time to go.
It's also like, I'm not a fan of Brooke, but I can't imagine being her. Like, and being on that couch, like, and being criticized constantly. And I think that's why, even like going back to Brianna Chicken Fry and like Grace O'Malley, I think that's why they fell out, because it was just constant. People just wanted to see their friendship fail and like, put all this pressure on them to put on a good show, or they were going to speculate that things were wrong. And I kind of see the same thing happening to them, but with Canceled, there's probably just too much money on the line to just like up and walk away from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And it's just like the way that they just kept trying to deflect everything to not be about each other. I don't think that they hate each other by any means. I think that they are friends, but I think that they can't last as friends working together.
Yeah, I could see that. So honestly, I listened to the actual episode this week, but a lot of the time I don't. Like, a lot of the time I see clips that they did.
Yeah.
Or maybe if I see an interesting clip, I'll go listen to the like one spot in the episode, you know, to get the full context of that conversation. But I don't typically listen to the whole thing anymore. And when they first started, I was eating up every single episode every week.
Yeah.
Because it was more exciting. They weren't so much hot topics. They were more, it was focused on them. And they were doing crazy shit. And it was like interesting to listen to and stuff. But yeah, it's just not that anymore, which is fine. I did find it interesting this week. I took a note while listening that whenever they were talking about Catherine, and Brooke said, I've been there, you know, protecting a man, like and I'm like, girl,
you are still there.
Yeah, you're still there. You're gonna be wishing you still had Canceled in like a year when you and your man break up.
That was my other thought with them, with Tana and Brooke. I'm like, okay, y'all don't do crazy stuff anymore. Y'all don't want to talk about hot topics, because I feel like the hot topics is what they kind of leaned on to whenever their lives settle down. What world do you see Tana and Brooke creating content where they're not being constantly ridiculed, speculated on? I don't feel like there's a world where they, like, unless they did something really, really different and started like a show about Brooke four-wheeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The most, like, they would have to be doing something. And I'm like, I don't mean it anyway, but what is entertaining about them is their banter and the way that they talk. So I'm like, what on earth could y'all do that would be entertaining to watch that's not you guys sitting on a couch, like getting yourselves in trouble with your words? Because at the end of the day, they're not really doing anything wrong by doing it. It's entertaining, but what else could they do? Because neither of them are like that. They don't have hidden talents as far as I know.
And they're like too much in it. I mean, they've already tried with the hot topics, but like how we do a hot topic kind of an episode and stuff, like they're too in the world of what they're talking about to not be criticized. Whereas like us, we don't know these people, you know, we don't know anyone that knows anyone that we're talking about. And so we're not going to get criticized, and like people can't come back and be like, why would you say that about me on there and stuff. So it's like, really, there's not many other options for them.
Yeah, I just don't know what they could imagine themselves doing other than that. No. Yeah, vlogging, sure, but
just gonna own a pickle shop. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
I guess we'll see. Brooke said something about doing something that's not so her focused, like food related or something. Is she gonna cook? I don't know. We'll see with that. But I think it's time for it to go, and I think they know it's time for it to go. So we're all just now patiently waiting for them to leave.
I'm also like, what are y'all going to do for the next few months? Like, y'all have put all your feelings out there about the show, that like you're also promoting a merch line for your show while you're saying how much you hate doing it and how it's such a negative like point of your life. I just think that's so bizarre.
Yeah, I do too. Because it, like, why not just fake it for a few more months?
Or it gives like ungratefulness in a way of,
I hate doing this and I don't want to be doing this for y'all right now, but buy my stuff, please. Give me some more money, okay?
Yeah, and no one is forcing them to go on and say some of the things that they say to get them in trouble. And I don't know, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
What I think they've been in the influencer world like too long. They don't really realize what they have in front of them. And like I feel like they're like crapping on it.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting for the next
This is like another one of those times where it's like, I just wish they could work a 9 to 5 for a little while.
Yeah.
And realize, you know, that like it doesn't have to be that painful to sit on a freaking couch and talk about hot topics every week.
Yeah, for real.
For to make literally thousands, if not close to 1 million, to do that every week, you know?
And also on that episode, they spoke about the Catherine and Austin McBroom thing. And, you know, Tana was just saying how, if y'all don't remember, there was a whole controversy because Tana made a TikTok like a while back speaking about how she defended Austin McBroom by saying that a lipstick that was in his car was hers, even though everybody knew that he was cheating on Catherine, but Tana never told Catherine. And then Tana made a TikTok saying that she lied for Austin or whatever. Well, whenever they addressed it on Canceled, Tana never even mentioned lying on Austin's behalf.
Yeah.
It was her like the whole time saying, I've never supported Austin. I've never blah, blah, blah. I'm not
I've always
Team Austin.
wrote for Catherine and this and
she
that.
didn't even address lying for him. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just say why you lied? It's also, she spoke about it without saying anything about the part that people were mad at her about.
Yeah.
Kind of like manipulative in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's at this point just good at doing that. Kind of like media training, even though I think it's just manipulative. You're manipulative and you're used to being in the media. So you get used to what to just like gloss over and what to talk about.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that she wasn't there for Catherine. I understand like he cheated so much publicly that she thought everybody knew. And I'm not saying like Tana's whole thing was like, it just wasn't my place to go to her and tell her that he was cheating. And it's like, but was it your place to say that's my lipstick?
Yeah.
That's where I was like, you're
like
telling a weird story
yourself.
Yeah. Like you're telling a really weird story with this. Okay. So the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni updates.
Here we go.
It is mid-June and we are still talking about this.
We have been talking about them since the beginning, almost, and it seems like there's an update constantly.
I want you to know, I tried to watch 3 different people discussing what is going on with this lawsuit. I don't understand.
Yeah, I still don't really get it.
It's too much information, but the summary of it is that Blake has dropped 2 of her claims in the lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. And the only part that I don't know what one of the claims were, but the other one and the part that I thought was important and interesting was, I'm going to read, one of the claims being dropped was the emotional distress that Justin Baldoni caused. And that has been the biggest point of Blake's entire argument. So I'm like, what has shifted or changed that has caused you to drop this? I could see this entire thing being dropped in a month. and people just acting like it never happened.
Yeah.
Like they fought their public image war and we're done.
But then I've seen people also talking about Justin Baldoni loses like his lawsuit, in this.
I'm so confused.
Me too. I don't understand.
The biggest note that I wrote down was that Blake dismissed her claim of emotional distress. And that's been Blake Lively's entire beating the dead horse argument since the beginning. So I'm just like, okay, so did she lie? Was there not enough evidence? It's just, I'm so confused by it.
Okay, I think I'm understanding a little bit.
Okay.
I only read a few sentences of a TMZ article.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Let's get the dish.
Okay, so I think where I was saying that I've seen that Justin Baldoni lost his lawsuit against Blake, I think that the reason that he lost that is because he can no longer sue for that because he was countersuing for her emotional distress.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah. Law described for dummies.
I just wonder how much of Blake dropping things would have to do with maybe Taylor Swift dropping her simultaneously while Blake is trying to blackmail her into publicly supporting her or whatever. I just wonder if her losing Taylor Swift as a friend changed her perspective on a lot because, Taylor Swift was the godmother of her children and they are no longer friends.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty crazy life change. I think we talked about it on here, but why would you make Taylor Swift the godmother of your children? The pop star of the world?
Yeah, just for clout, I think.
That's
just to say that she is.
Yeah.
It's still also weird to me because I still just want to say that at the beginning, her initial claims were true to her. And I want to say, I don't know, I just feel because in real life, if a woman tries to come forward and then you have to show all this proof and stuff, sometimes it's hard to show proof of an interaction that you had with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
it's hard to show proof of being made uncomfortable by someone.
Yeah. And so sometimes I'm like, is it just that all this is hard to prove because it's stuff like that? But there are parts of this where I do think that once Justin started countersuing and they started going back and forth, it all got messy. And I think that they both had their faults at times. Yeah. And I do think that Blake Lively is incredibly annoying for sure.
Yeah.
But it's all so much at this point that I can't even fully recall everything that's happened, you know?
And the thing that what I thought at the beginning and what I still think is that I think Justin Baldoni made Blake uncomfortable at some points. I think Justin is weird and emotional about his work. And I think I could completely see how that could have made Blake uncomfortable in other settings. But then, so I see Blake as a victim more so in the beginning of it all. And then I also see Blake being made uncomfortable and having celebrities in her circle as a power play to try to tear someone down that didn't do what she wanted them to do. Mm-hmm. I think Blake is both the victim and the
victim at first and turned into the villain. Kind of.
It's both things are true. I don't think Justin is completely innocent at all. I think he may have made her uncomfortable and some may have made inappropriate comments, but then Justin tried to defend his company, Wayfarer, who has gone bankrupt also throughout all this. I think he tried to just defend his name and defend his company because he is so much smaller than Blake, and it was his name and his movies on the line that were being made. So he fought the PR war that he was going to have to fight. And it doesn't seem like he's backed down. And not that makes me believe him, but it just makes me question, we will never know a lot of this because I don't ever see this coming to light at this point.
No, not with her dropping things. Not with her dropping lawsuits and stuff. It's
Yeah.
The case is kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
It's kind of crumbling.
Yeah.
So we'll keep everybody updated when we get more updates. But It's gonna be a long saga, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was the movie that Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell did last year, and the promo for it, they were always like together. They were always seemingly everybody was like, "Are there like significant others okay with this?"
Yeah, like they were shipping. Everybody was shipping them.
Yeah, and when all of that ended, Sydney Sweeney ended up leaving her fiance, and Glenn Powell and his girlfriend broke up as well. And I mean, last we had talked, they were at that wedding together, Glenn and
right
Sydney.
After they were both single.
Well, this week, Glenn Powell's ex-girlfriend went onto a podcast and decided to answer some questions.
I just think it was like pretty obvious what was going on, and if people didn't really see what was going on, that's fine. But to me, it was just like, whoa, that's pretty crazy, just to like sell a movie. Or not, who knows? Like, and I honestly hoped that they'd end up together, because I was like, at least it would make it worth it for me, like, hope they are in love or whatnot. But
yeah. So did you ever get clarity of whether or not you were cheated on?
I have heard so many different sides of the story. I have no confirmation of what actually happened. I just know what my standards are, and for me, it just wasn't okay the way it was handled, period.
Fuck yeah.
Have you ever been in a relationship where you know that it's not working out with the guy, and there's someone that like the kind of person even that that he would work out with, and like you almost want, I don't know. I dated this guy once, and it was just not going well, and there was this girl on Instagram, and I was like, you see her? You'd be happy with someone like that. And then he went out with her. And it was like, but I understand what she means, that she almost wished it would have worked out, because I don't have the self-esteem to let my man go hang out with Sydney Sweeney, and like that sucks.
Yeah. A lot of people are critiquing Sydney Sweeney, saying she's not a girl's girl,
I hate
and
that. I
all
hate
this kind of stuff.
I hate the tearing people down because they're cheaters, because we don't really know.
Yeah. And also, I mean, if you would go through that TikTok that we just referenced, every comment is about Sydney Sweeney. I'm like, Glenn Powell was the one dating her.
Yeah, he's
so we're
the
not
one
going
who
to talk
made
about
her
that.
Feel a certain type of way.
Yeah, he's the one who was in a relationship and decided, if it's true, to cheat with Sydney Sweeney. Like, she even said at one point that she was supposed to come visit him or whatever, and that she called and he was like, hey, yeah, no, actually, I need to tell you, the producers like told me that you can't come anymore.
I got a phone call from him right when I was about to go to Australia to work. I had my visa that took me much longer than I anticipated. Meanwhile, all this shit was coming out on the internet, and I had jobs lined up. And he called and said, the producers and I have discussed that I think it's best that you don't come to visit. To keep
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope. And that's when I hung up, and I was like, this motherfucker is done to me.
Dang.
And
but I could also see that being true.
Yeah, she said, she asked why, and then in the podcast, whenever she said what his reasoning was, they like bleeped it out, but people who were like trying to read her lips said that he told her, the producers said that you can't come anymore to protect me and Sydney's like on-screen like chemistry for the movie and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, while I think that's crazy, and I think that it could have been a lie, I also could see like if your girlfriend's gonna be like standing while you're making out with this other girl, it could make the chemistry be a little off.
Yeah, and it's like you're talking about a movie that cost a company millions and millions and millions of dollars to make, and like the press around like the speculation of Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney together was driving up the marketing so much. As a company, you don't give a crap about how Glenn Powell's girlfriend at the time feels.
Yeah. No.
So I completely could see that being true, but he could also have been being a man who's being bad.
Bad boy.
Bad little Glenn
You're
Powell.
being a man-child. You a little stupid. Or is it slow?
I can see it going either way. I just like wonder, we'll never know.
Yeah.
The sad part is she'll never know.
I know.
And if I would have heard that Sydney Sweeney was at his sister's wedding, I would have been like crushed probably. But I also, like I said, I understand her being like, I wish they were just in love, because then like we would have not been fighting for nothing, and he would have been like, I don't know. It's like the Catherine and Austin thing, like where she was like, me finally knowing and seeing on his phone that he was cheating was so good for me to like just know.
Yeah.
Because like it's the wondering
yeah.
It will drive you crazy and make you question if you're making a mistake or all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of the time it's like just so much better when there's something definitive
Yeah.
that can give you that closure and let you be like, okay, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's always the hardest when there's not a real reason. There's reasons in your mind, but there's not a real reason there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we can tell everyone what's been up with us this week.
Welcome to the Viking Motel section of the story.
Here we are. We'll take you all the way back to start in Atlanta.
Okay.
So we went to Atlanta and we got to see our fave Swiftologist.
Yeah.
Zach, Madeline, Evolution of a Snake, whatever you know them as.
Mm-hmm. And it was like we had meet and greet tickets, and they were so like the best celebrity type people I have ever met. I swear we vibed like we were friends.
Yeah, they were so nice. We kept talking all night about how nice they were to us.
Yeah.
And
even like the people in the room, because we were sitting at these like tables where you could like order food and stuff. So like we were watching the show with other people, and it was like everyone in the room knew the same inside jokes and everything. Like it was so niche and personal, even though none of us knew each other.
It really was. Sometimes, like, I had this weird thing. I think I'll, like, astral project,
Yeah.
and be out of my body for a second. And when I did that, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because, like, when a girl gave me a friendship bracelet and it said, you need to calm down, I said, I was like, wow, Zach's favorite. And she was like, yeah. And it's like,
yeah, like
we all just know what we're talking about.
We understood all the inside jokes. And this was the best, like, podcast show, because we've been to 4 now, right?
And this was the best one.
Yeah, like because most of the other ones, like you would do a meet and greet and then you would have an hour and a half before the show starts. So you're just sitting in this theater with nothing to do. You can only eat like candy bars, popcorn, hot dogs, whatever. And we wanted like food, and they had like nice like charcuterie and everything. So we got the meet and greet, had time to sit down at our table with a server, order drinks, order charcuterie, order truffle fries. Like we were like having so much fun that night.
Yes, we were having such a good time. And like they even wrote us like little notes about what we had talked about with them.
Yeah, like
and
it was personalized.
Yeah, it was personalized, and it was so nice. Even though Zach did eat us up because because we had to dress as the theme, which was fearless. And so Taylor used to dress kind of like boho country girl back then.
Yep.
With her brown belts that she would wear that were, what is the word?
Useless.
Yeah, useless.
Useless.
Useless. With her useless brown belts. But me and you would wear these belts.
Like, we kind of liked the outfits, actually.
We were like, we put the outfits together. We were like, oh, these are cute.
Yeah.
And so we go up to meet Zach, and he's like, oh, your useless brown belts are sending me.
Yeah, and we were just like, I'm glad you like them.
Yeah. Glad we dressed up with the theme.
Yeah. So the show was amazing. Like, nothing but like good things to say about them, and I have a feeling in the future we're gonna be friends with them.
Yeah,
that was the energy I got.
Manifesting that level 1000.
Yeah. Oh, our hotel,
it was so nice
and clean.
It was like upper echelon Lana Del Rey coded, you know?
Yeah, like the pool was a greenhouse. We had a Starbucks on our floor. We had a restaurant, breakfast, everything.
The pool was like serene. So like when me and you swam that one day, it was like just us and one other girl off to the side in her pool chair.
Yeah.
It was like only us, just surrounded by this like garden of everything.
It was
the water.
so like luxurious feeling.
Yeah.
So then the next day we have a beautiful road trip with a new Addison Rae album. We've got Manchild out. Like, both of them just dropped at midnight. Like, we had new bangers in the car to bang.
Yeah, we're living our best life. The time from Atlanta till we got to the Viking Motel, time of our lives.
Yeah, great time. And then we arrived at the Viking Motel at 8 p.m.
Check-in's at 3, okay? We're going to start there.
Yeah.
Check-in is at 3. We go at 8 p.m. to check in. I have to pee. So I get the room key, and Alyssa's still checking in. I go at 8 o'clock again and walk in, and there's someone cleaning.
Still.
I'm like, 110? She's like, yeah, I'm cleaning. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to pee. So then I pee. And then I come back and we get our stuff and take it there. And she's like getting annoyed that we're trying to, God forbid, bring our stuff in.
But this motel is scary.
Yeah.
And we're standing in the hallway with all of our stuff, like just trying to get into a safe closed door.
Yeah, because we can't be outside past dusk.
No,
Like,
it's
it
bad.
can't happen.
It's bad. There are drug people around. So we get into the motel. She's done cleaning. The floors are so sticky. Like, disgustingly sticky. We go, the first thing you do whenever you're at a scary place, you lock that latch on the door. It's broken. Someone's kicked it in.
Right in half. It's
Someone has kicked the plastic chrome-colored thing to look like metal.
We're like,
They've
smells
kicked
like
it.
drugs and DV in here.
It's bad. So we go out to eat, try to basically avoid being there for most of the evening. But we do have to finally return whenever we're tired.
Yeah.
So we get back to the room, and I was like, we should like play Lana Del Rey, like try to romanticize the situation. Kind of feels like we're in a Lana Del Rey video right now. So we're 2 to 3 hours go by of us watching like Lana Del Rey music videos, and then there we are. It's 3:30 a.m.
Yep. And mind you, we were never like comfortably chilling. We were like, the bed felt like it was wooden, which like bed frame was wooden. The bed felt like it was wooden.
Yeah, and we're sitting under just a sheet because we refuse to use the comforter that they don't clean because it was already dirty in there. Found a hair bow and a bug in my bed. So not the cleanest for sure. But the air conditioner that runs so god-awfully loud is so humid in there that the sheets are wet.
Yeah.
Like, the sheets have became wet from us sitting in there. It was bad.
It really was. And, so we were listening to Lana Del Rey, but, not before we took the knife, the biggest knife from the kitchen that we could find, put it on our bedside table right there, because we got to stay strapped in there.
Yep. So around 3:34 a.m., we decided to put on some dresses. And it started with, let's take some photos in here. Let's, be cute and, artsy.
Yeah, it was, giving artsy with the dichotomy of a fancy dress or something with the just really shitty room.
Yeah.
It was that'd be kind of, artsy and cool.
Yeah. So the photos progressed into, let's make a short film.
And then let's make 2 short films.
Yeah. And we made the short films for so long, the sun is up by the time we're done. So the first short film, Jill stayed in the room for hers.
Mm-hmm. Because we could not leave. So
No,
it
we
was
were
fully
horrified.
inside. But then by the time we were shooting Alyssa's, the sun had started to come up. It was like sunrise, and it was so pretty.
Yeah, so by the time 6 to 7 a.m. rolled around, we were out in the hallways of the motel dancing in dresses, and we had became the weirdos at the motel that we were afraid of.
Poetic, man.
It really was. If you look at it in hindsight, the way that we've laid it out, it really is poetic.
We're so scared when we first get there. We're we got to get away from all these weirdos that are crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's by morning time, we're in dresses at 6 a.m. running around the hotel.
Knowing that if a crackhead looked out their window, they would be spooked by us.
Yeah.
So we did that day, our beach day, which is what we went there for.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good time. But we tried to shower, get ready, felt disgusting and exhausted.
Yeah, the bath mat was still rolled up whenever we got in there. And I'm I don't know if that means this is clean or what, but I'm not chancing it. So we just didn't have a bath mat.
Yeah, and we tried to go out. We just had no energy. We were feeling really gross and just not good, sick. We felt sick in our sinuses from the air conditioner.
Yeah, but we were supposed to have one more night there. So we were you know what? Let's just do what we did last night. Let's get out for a little bit. Let's go somewhere. So we went to Broadway at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were walking around and we weren't feeling it. We'd
The
be like,
energy was not there.
no. We'd be like, you want to go in this store? I'd be like, I don't really care.
It was like indifferent to the highest degree.
Yeah.
But we did not want to go back to the motel. So we started throwing around the idea of maybe driving home.
Yeah.
And that sounded exciting.
And I said at first, I was like, let's like go back to the room and then we'll make the call, you know?
Decide how we feel then. And then the sun was getting close to setting. And I was like, are you sure you don't want to head back?
Yeah. We got into the car after Broadway. We didn't even make it back to the room like how I said initially. And I said, you think you can make the drive? And you're like, yes. Yes, I can.
With the Coke Zero, I can go far.
I need my fuel, but I can do it. So we get back to the room.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And we're like, let's get out of here. The place, everything is scattered everywhere because we were filming. We were just like directors the night before, you know, filming short
We've been
films.
to the beach. There's wet bathing suits. There's towels. It's just a mess.
Yeah, it's a full mess. But we get there at 7:45. We're like, we're getting out of here. So we pack all of our shit up. We're in the car, checked out at the hotel on the road. It's 8:00. Like
8 p.m. We are out of the Viking Motel.
You ain't never seen me pack or clean as fast as I did then, honey.
Yeah, so we made the drive, and like the motel experience was crazy, but it was like really fun in hindsight, especially looking back on it. I'm like, that was really fun.
Yeah.
But like in the moment, like we were doing what we had to do to survive.
Yes. But one thing about us is we will make the best of a situation because we never were just sitting there like, God, this sucks. This is so bad.
The whole time we were like, no, we are Lana Del Rey.
Yeah.
This is
we
where
were like,
we belong.
Lana would do this.
Yeah.
Lana would stay here and she would be happy about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our weekend. That was a really good memory. It was a fun time.
We'll never forget the Viking Motel.
Yeah. We love you. Never coming back though.
No, we'll never. He said, I hope you'll come back. I was like, Sonny, just take the keys.
And we left and we got sick. And I'm still recovering a little bit. I think we got secondhand meth high.
Yeah, we might have been a little bit on something to keep us up all night like that. But that's all for this week's video.
Yeah. So remember that if you dislike men as much as Sabrina Carpenter, click the subscribe button.
We upload new episodes every Monday. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
And TTYL. Bye.
She 21, love a savage, but she got a little